In a world consumed by distraction, where men are slaves to their emotions, where desires control actions and fears dictate decisions, there exists another way. A path walked by those who refuse to be ruled by impulse, by circumstance, by the fleeting chaos of the external world. This path is not for the weak, nor for those who seek comfort above all else. It is the path of discipline, of self-mastery, of unshakable resolve. It is the path of Stoicism. The ancients understood a truth that modern men have forgotten, that the world is indifferent to our suffering, that fate will do as it pleases, that pain, loss, and hardship are not personal attacks, but inevitable realities of existence. We do not control what happens to us, only how we respond. And in that response lies everything. Look around. See how men crumble under the weight of trivial misfortunes, how they lash out in anger over things beyond their control, how they waste their days in pursuit of pleasure and their nights in fear of the future. They are ruled by their own minds, prisoners to their own thoughts. But we seek to master what they refuse to confront. To be a Stoic is to rise above. To be a Stoic is to recognize that suffering is inevitable. But how we endure it is a choice. It is to understand that happiness is not found in wealth, power, or status, but in the unwavering commitment to virtue, reason, and self-discipline. It is to train the mind as one trains the body, to grow stronger with every hardship, to stand firm when others fall, to remain steady in a world that is anything but. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor philosopher who ruled not only an empire but himself, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Strength is not found in domination, but in self-control. Power is not found in conquest, but in restraint. The Stoic does not react, he acts. He does not complain, he endures. He does not seek to change the world, but to change himself, knowing that in doing so, he has already conquered everything that truly matters. This is the path we now walk. 12 principles, 12 unbreakable truths that form the foundation of an unshaken life. Each one a key to mastering the self, to overcoming fear, to silencing the noise of the world, and listening only to reason. These are not mere words. They are weapons, forged in the fires of experience, meant to cut through the illusions that keep men weak and afraid. This is our call to arms, not against others, but against ourselves, against the parts of us that are ruled by doubt, by anger, by indulgence, by fear. The battle is not outside, it is within, and only those who are willing to face it will ever truly be free. Now, let us begin. The path is long, the trials are many, but the reward is absolute. A mind unshaken, a will unbreakable, a life truly lived. Principle 1. The discipline of perception. See the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. There is no greater chain upon the soul than illusion. To see the world through the lens of desire, fear, or false hope is to be blind while believing oneself sighted. The first discipline of the Stoic is the discipline of perception, the ruthless commitment to seeing reality as it is, uncolored by fleeting emotions or deceptive narratives. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." But before we can even react, we must see. To see the world clearly is to strip away the distortions cast by pride, envy, and expectation. This is no easy task, for the mind craves illusion. It wishes to paint the world in colors of its own choosing, to sculpt reality into something more comforting, more pleasing. But a Stoic does not indulge in comfort at the cost of truth. We do not cry out against the storm. We observe it. We do not curse fate. We acknowledge it. We do not demand the universe bends to our will. We align our will with the universe. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, sat upon the throne of the most powerful empire the world had known. Yet he understood that power is nothing without clarity. In his meditations, he reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. What happens is irrelevant. How we see what happens, that is where mastery begins." To train the discipline of perception is to force oneself into confrontation with truth, no matter how cold, no matter how harsh. It is to silence the voices of self-pity and ego, to replace them with stillness, with objectivity, with calm acceptance. Think of a battlefield. The undisciplined mind sees chaos, fear, death. The disciplined mind sees movements, formations, the ebb and flow of war itself. One panics, the other acts. This is the difference between the common man and the Stoic. And this battlefield is not confined to war. It is in every aspect of life. The loss of love, the betrayal of a friend, the failure of an endeavor. Do we see these as personal tragedies, or do we see them as events, neutral, indifferent, no different than the passing of the seasons? A Stoic chooses to see without distortion. We choose to meet the world as it is, without complaint, without longing. Only by doing so can we ever hope to act with wisdom. If you wish to master yourself, begin here. Burn away the illusions. Let the world present itself to you, unfiltered. Do not flinch. Do not turn away. For only when we truly see, only when our eyes are open, can we take the next step toward mastery. Principle 2. The discipline of action. Master yourself. Master the moment. What use is wisdom without action? What good is clarity if it does not lead to movement? The second discipline of the Stoic is action. Right action. Deliberate action. Action free from hesitation and self-deception. Too many stand paralyzed at the crossroads of life, waiting for certainty before they dare take a step. But a Stoic does not wait. A Stoic acts. We do not indulge in the luxury of doubt, nor do we surrender to the burden of endless deliberation. Instead, we make our choice, based on reason, based on virtue, and we move forward. Seneca warned us against delay. While we waste our time, hesitating and postponing, life is slipping away. Each moment we hesitate is a moment lost, a fragment of life discarded into the abyss. We do not have the privilege of endless time. We have only now, and what we do with it determines everything. Do not mistake this for recklessness. The Stoic does not act without thought. We are not driven by impulse, but by principle. Our actions are aligned with what is right, with what is just, with what is within our control. And once we see the right course, we do not shrink from it. We commit. Think of the warrior who stands before the enemy. There is no time to second guess, no time to ponder every possible outcome. He either steps forward or he perishes. Life is the same. We must act with precision, with discipline, and with the unwavering confidence that comes from knowing we are aligned with virtue. But action is not only for great moments of decision. It is in every breath, in every movement. How do we rise in the morning? How do we carry ourselves through the day? Do we act with honor, or do we shrink from duty? Do we meet hardship with resolve, or do we whimper in self-pity? A Stoic knows that every action defines us. We are not judged by our intentions, but by what we do. Marcus Aurelius commanded himself, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." It is not enough to think. It is not enough to wish. It is not enough to dream of the person we might become. We must become. We must take the steps, however small, however difficult, to shape ourselves into beings of discipline, strength, and resilience. There will be pain. There will be fear. There will be moments where every part of us screams to retreat, to delay, to surrender. That is when we act the most. That is when we steel ourselves and step forward. Right action. Unwavering resolve. The moment is now. Principle 3. The discipline of will. Embrace the fire. Become the fire. There are forces in this world beyond our control. The storm will rage, the earth will quake, and fortune will turn her back without warning. Many curse fate when hardship arrives, but a Stoic does not. We do not beg the universe for mercy, nor do we break beneath its weight. Instead, we endure, we accept, and in our acceptance, we become unbreakable. This is the discipline of will, the mastery of our inner fortress, the unshakable resilience that no suffering can penetrate. Epictetus, born into slavery, bound by chains and beaten by his master, understood this truth more than most. Yet he did not wallow in despair. He knew that while his body could be restrained, his mind remained free. "You may fetter my leg," he declared, "but not even Zeus has the power to break my will." This is the essence of Stoicism, the realization that nothing external can truly harm us, only our response to it can. Pain is pain, but suffering is a choice. Misfortune is misfortune, but defeat is an act of surrender. When Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, lost his beloved wife, he did not crumble beneath grief. He reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He grieved, but he did not drown in sorrow. He continued forward as we must. There will be days when life feels unbearable, when the weight of existence threatens to crush us. But here lies the secret. The fire does not destroy the Stoic, it forges him. We do not shrink from suffering. We step into it. We embrace the trial, knowing that every hardship endured is another link in the chain of our resilience. The undisciplined mind complains, resists, collapses. The disciplined mind absorbs, accepts, transforms. When we are struck down, we do not cry out in despair. We rise, again and again and again, until the world understands that we cannot be broken. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." We do not seek an easy life, for an easy life breeds weakness. We welcome the struggle, for struggle shapes strength. Ask yourself, when hardship comes, will you falter? Will you tremble? Or will you steel your spine, set your jaw, and walk through the fire untouched? We do not ask for lighter burdens. We ask for stronger backs. And when the world tests us, when it throws every cruelty in our path, we will smile, for we know the challenge is not our curse, it is our crucible. Principle 4. The mastery of desire. Want nothing, lack nothing. Desire is the chain that binds the soul. It whispers lies into the ears of men, telling them that happiness is just beyond the next horizon, waiting in riches, in power, in pleasures of the flesh. It is an insatiable hunger, a beast that devours all who feed it. And yet the world chases it endlessly, always grasping, always craving, never at peace. A Stoic is different. We do not chase. We do not beg. We do not hunger for what is beyond our reach. Instead, we master ourselves, and in doing so, we master the one force that enslaves most of mankind: desire. Epictetus warned us, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. And what is desire, if not a desperate grasp for things beyond our command? The wealth we seek can be stolen. The praise we long for can be denied. The pleasures we indulge in can fade into misery. If our happiness depends on such things, we are not free. We are prisoners of fortune. Look at the rulers who have sat upon golden thrones, yet lived in fear of losing them. Look at the rich who drown in excess, yet feel empty. Look at the men who have conquered nations, only to realize they are still unsatisfied. The world is full of men who have everything except peace. And then look at the Stoic. He walks with nothing, yet he lacks nothing. He does not measure himself by wealth, by pleasure, by approval. His contentment is unshaken, for it does not rest in things. It rests in his own mastery of self. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. These words of Seneca reveal a truth most will never understand. The richest man is not the one who has the most, but the one who needs the least. Desire is a fire that cannot be satisfied. It will consume all you give it and leave you hollow. A Stoic extinguishes this fire before it takes hold. We train ourselves to want nothing, so that we are never in need. This does not mean we reject the world. We may have wealth, but we do not depend on it. We may enjoy pleasure, but we do not cling to it. We may receive praise, but we do not require it. These things are fleeting, and we greet them as a traveler greets the passing scenery, acknowledging, but never attached. The path is clear. Either we master desire, or we let it master us. The first path leads to freedom, the second to eternal hunger. We have no interest in being beggars at the feet of fortune. We are Stoics. We want nothing. And in that, we have everything. Principle 5. The acceptance of fate. Amor, Fati, love your fate. The world does not bend to our will. It moves as it always has, indifferent to our hopes, unmoved by our cries. Fortune turns her wheel as she pleases, one day lifting us high, the next day casting us into the dirt. Many curse her for this. They resist, they protest, they drown in anger at what they cannot change. A Stoic does not. We do not shake our fists at the sky. We do not waste breath, wishing the past were different. We do not resist reality. Instead, we embrace it. We do not merely endure our fate. We love it. This is Amor, Fati, the radical acceptance of everything that happens, not as misfortune, but as necessity, as providence, as exactly what was meant to be. A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it. Marcus Aurelius did not write these words as a man untouched by suffering. He buried children, he faced betrayal, he ruled an empire plagued by war and disease. But he did not allow resentment to take root in his soul. He understood that resistance is wasted energy. We do not control what happens to us, only how we meet it. Fate does not ask for our permission. It does not wait for us to be ready. It arrives unannounced, relentless. A weak man curses it. A wise man shapes himself to fit its blows. But a Stoic goes further. A Stoic welcomes it. Think of the warrior who does not wish for an easy battle, but for the perfect opponent to test his strength. Think of the craftsman who does not reject the hardest material, but sees in it the opportunity to create something lasting. Life will give us hardship. This is not a punishment. This is a gift. Every loss, every pain, every shattered dream is fuel for the fire, if we choose to use it. We do not say, "Why me?" We say, "Good." If life takes from us, we thank it for the lesson. If fate throws obstacles in our path, we do not complain. We climb. Seneca reminded us, A good person dyes events with his own color and turns whatever happens to his own benefit. This is the power we hold, the power to transform suffering into wisdom, loss into strength, tragedy into fortitude. But this transformation can only happen if we surrender our resistance, if we let go of the childish belief that the world should be fair, that life owes us comfort, that things should have gone differently. They should not have. They went exactly as they were meant to. Fate is neither cruel nor kind. It simply is. And we are its students. We do not wish for a different path. We walk the one we are given, with our heads high, our eyes forward, and our hearts filled not with resentment, but with gratitude. Amor, Fati. Love your fate. Love every step of it, even the painful ones, especially the painful ones, for they are the ones that shape us. Principle 6. The power of presence. Live now, die later. Most men do not live. They exist. They drift through time, as if life is a rehearsal, as if they have all the years in the world to begin living with meaning. Their minds are trapped in the past, weighed down by regret, or they are shackled to the future, lost in dreams of what may come. But the present, the only moment that is real, escapes them. A Stoic does not fall into this trap. We do not live in the past because it is dead. We do not live in the future because it is uncertain. We live now. This breath, this moment, this is where life happens. To waste it is the greatest of all failures. Marcus Aurelius, a man who carried the weight of an empire, still understood this truth. Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. Instead, concern yourself with how you can live your life to the fullest in the present. We are all dying, some slowly, some quickly, but the end is coming, and none of us know when. How foolish it is to put off truly living. How tragic it is to wake up one day and realize that life was happening all along, and we missed it. A Stoic is awake. We are here. We feel the air in our lungs, the ground beneath our feet. We do not wait for tomorrow to be strong, to be disciplined, to be wise. We do not say, "I will begin when I am ready." We begin now, because now is all we have ever had. Think of the man on his deathbed who would give everything for one more moment of clear thought, for one more chance to see the world as it is. And yet here we are, alive, with every moment at our disposal. Will we waste them? Will we drift, mind elsewhere, as life slips through our fingers? Seneca warned against this. You are afraid of dying, but come now. How is this life of yours anything but death? What he meant was this: if you are not fully living, you are already dead. The difference between a corpse and a man is not the beating of a heart. It is the presence of a mind. So breathe deeply, act boldly, speak truthfully, love fiercely. Principle 7. The fortress of the mind. Master your thoughts. Master your life. The body can be imprisoned, but the mind, if disciplined, remains free. The world may take our wealth, our health, even those we love, but no force, no tyrant, no tragedy can take our ability to govern our own thoughts. And yet, most men surrender this power willingly. They allow fear, anger, and despair to invade their minds like an unguarded city, leaving them weak, desperate, broken. A Stoic does not. We guard our minds as a fortress. We allow nothing in that does not serve us. We are the gatekeepers of our own thoughts, the masters of our own perception. Epictetus reminds us, it is not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. Two men may suffer the same fate. One is crushed by it, the other strengthened. The difference is not in the event, but in the mind that perceives it. You will be tested. You will face loss, betrayal, hardship. The world will try to break you. But remember this, nothing has power over you unless you grant it power. An insult only wounds if you take offense. A failure only defeats if you allow it to define you. Pain only controls if you resist it. This is why we train. This is why we sharpen the blade of reason, why we cultivate self-awareness. The undisciplined mind is like an open wound. Every slight, every misfortune infects it. But the Stoic mind is like armor. Words do not pierce it. Loss does not weaken it. Suffering does not shake it. Marcus Aurelius, ruler of the known world, understood this better than anyone. He wrote in his private reflections, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." If even an emperor, surrounded by war and treachery, could master himself, then so can we. But mastery requires vigilance. A fortress left unguarded will fall. A mind left unchecked will be overrun by doubt, by anxiety, by desires that serve no purpose. We must be ruthless in this. We do not entertain self-pity. We do not indulge in endless fears. We do not waste time in fantasies of what could have been. When the world attacks, we retreat inward, not in weakness, but in strength. Within us is a space that no one can touch, a place of absolute control, a sanctuary built not of stone, but of reason. This is where we find our power. And when we emerge, calm, unshaken, disciplined, the world will understand. We are not like other men. We are Stoics. We rule ourselves. Principle 8. The art of indifference. Care only for what matters. Most men are slaves, not to chains, not to tyrants, but to opinions, distractions, and desires that serve no purpose. They are pulled in 1,000 directions, their minds scattered, their hearts burdened by matters unworthy of their concern. They seek approval. They crave recognition. They agonize over things beyond their control. A Stoic does not. We walk through the world with a simple rule. If it does not serve virtue, if it does not strengthen us, if it does not belong to us, we let it go. Epictetus made it clear. Some things are up to us, and some are not. If it is not up to us, if it lies beyond our will, beyond our reason, beyond our actions, we waste no thought on it. It is the concern of lesser men, the opinions of others, smoke in the wind, the praise of the crowd, fleeting and hollow, the twists of fate, beyond our command. If we allow these things to rule our emotions, we have already lost. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The world will call us cold for this, indifferent, uncaring. Let them. We do not concern ourselves with their judgment. A warrior does not weep when the wind shifts direction. He moves forward. Indifference is not weakness. It is clarity. It is the power to strip away the unnecessary, to focus only on what truly matters. Ask yourself, does this thought serve me? Does this worry make me stronger? Does this craving bring me wisdom? If the answer is no, then let it die. Seneca reminds us, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. How many of our wounds are self-inflicted? How much time do we waste on anxieties that never come to pass? A Stoic does not entertain such foolishness. We do not argue with fools. We do not chase the admiration of men. We do not waste energy mourning what was never ours to keep. We are indifferent to all except virtue, to all except strength, discipline, and wisdom. A king and a beggar meet the same fate in the end. Wealth fades, beauty withers, power crumbles. If these things do not last, why should we cling to them? Let the world chase illusions. Let them drown in their attachments. We walk a different path, a path free of chains, the path of indifference. Principle 9. The discipline of action. Do what must be done. The weak man waits. He waits for the right moment, the right mood, the right conditions. He speaks of what he could do, what he should do, what he will do, tomorrow, next week, next year. But when the time comes, he hesitates. He finds excuses. He remains still. A Stoic does not. We act. We do not wait for motivation, nor do we ask permission from our emotions. The world does not care how we feel. It cares only for what we do. And so, we do what must be done, whether we are tired, whether we are afraid, whether we wish to or not. Marcus Aurelius, perhaps the busiest man in the world, knew this well. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain about if I'm going to do what I was born for? We were not born to waste time. We were not born to seek comfort. We were born to act. Look at history. The men who shaped the world were not those who waited for the right moment. They did not hesitate. They did not ask if they were ready. They moved. They made decisions. They took risks. They acted. And because they acted, they lived. Seneca warned us, while we waste our time hesitating and postponing, life is slipping away. How many opportunities have died because of inaction? How many men lie on their deathbeds, wishing they had begun sooner, that they had been braver, that they had done, instead of waited? Do not let that be us. There is no right moment. There is no perfect plan. There is only now. When the alarm rings, rise. When duty calls, answer. When the challenge presents itself, step forward, not later. Not when we feel like it, now. A Stoic does not dream of action. A Stoic acts. And in doing so, we prove to ourselves and to the world that we are men of discipline, of purpose, of unwavering will. Principle 10. The embrace of virtue. Live with honor. Live with purpose. The world may offer us wealth, status, and pleasure, but these are fleeting. They are the empty promises of a deceiving world, like a mirage in the desert, always out of reach, always diminishing in value the closer we get. What then does a Stoic strive for? What is the one thing that cannot be taken from us, that holds its value regardless of circumstance? Virtue. Virtue is the only true wealth. It is the foundation of our character, the measure of our strength. A man may lose everything, his fortune, his home, his health. But if he retains his virtue, he has lost nothing. For virtue is unshakable, eternal, and it is in it that we find our highest purpose. Seneca wrote, "A good character, when established, is not shaken by circumstances, nor does it depend on what happens, but remains unscathed." This is the heart of Stoicism. It is not the external world that defines us, but our internal response to it. The only thing within our control is our own virtue, our courage, our wisdom, our justice, and our temperance. Consider what the Stoic values above all else: honesty, integrity, bravery, self-discipline. These are the qualities that elevate us above the chaos of the world. When all around us crumbles, when every other measure of success fails, virtue is the unyielding anchor that keeps us grounded. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, frequently reminded himself of the power of virtue. "The quality of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts," he wrote. Virtue begins in the mind, in the choices we make every day, in the small acts of integrity that no one sees. We do not wait for grand opportunities to prove our character. It is in the little moments, how we treat the weak, how we respond to injustice, how we endure suffering without complaint, that our true virtue is revealed. Virtue is not something we achieve, it is something we live. Every thought, every word, every action must be measured by this standard. Will it build our character or tear it down? Will it elevate us or drag us into the mire of pettiness and greed? This is not a call to perfection. It is a call to consistency. A Stoic does not seek to be flawless. He seeks to be constant, to always strive for virtue, even in the face of difficulty. When we are tested, we are not defined by the hardship itself, but by how we respond to it. Let the world chase fleeting pleasures. Let the masses pursue the empty rewards of fame and fortune. We, the Stoics, live with purpose. We live with virtue. And in that, we find the only true freedom. Principle 11. The detachment from desire. Want nothing, need nothing. We live in a world consumed by desire. Everywhere we look, we see images of perfection, glamorous lives, unattainable beauty, endless pleasure. We are taught to chase after more wealth, more status, more possessions, as if these things will fill the void inside us. But the more we chase, the more we realize that the void only grows deeper. A Stoic does not fall prey to this illusion. We understand that desire is a chain, a self-imposed prison. It is a force that drags us through life, demanding more and more, never satisfied, never content. The more we acquire, the more we want. The more we have, the more we are afraid of losing it. We become slaves to our cravings, prisoners of our own wants. But a Stoic is free. We do not crave. We do not seek to possess, to hoard, or to accumulate. We do not measure our worth by the things we own or the status we attain. Instead, we cultivate a spirit of detachment. We need nothing but what is necessary, and we desire nothing more than what is good for us. Epictetus taught, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Desire chains us to the world, to the impermanence of material things. But if we detach from what we cannot control, our possessions, our circumstances, the opinions of others, we free ourselves. Marcus Aurelius echoed this truth. So how ridiculous and how strange to be surprised at anything which happens in life. We cannot control what happens to us, nor can we control what others do or think. So why then should we desire anything beyond our own virtue? Why should we yearn for something that is fleeting, something that will eventually slip through our fingers like sand? A Stoic lives with sufficiency. We do not need riches to be rich. We do not need others' approval to feel validated. We need only what is essential for our well-being. And even that, we can live without if it is taken from us. This is the power of detachment. It is the strength to let go of everything that does not serve us, to walk through life free from the weight of unnecessary wants. It is the ability to face loss without despair, to live without fear of deprivation. Do not confuse detachment with apathy. A Stoic can love deeply, work diligently, and give generously. But none of these things should bind us. We do not cling to them as if they were our salvation. They are good, but they are not necessary. We are free of the need for them. We are the masters of our desires, not the slaves. We choose what we need, and we release what we do not. Principle 12. The acceptance of fate. Embrace what is, not what could have been. We live in a world where change is constant, where uncertainty is the only certainty. We will face setbacks, suffer losses, encounter obstacles that seem insurmountable. Life will not be fair. It will not go according to plan. The winds of fate will blow in directions we cannot predict. and we will find ourselves on roads we did not choose. Most men rail against this. They resist what is, constantly wishing things were different, wishing they could rewrite the story of their lives. They ask, "Why me?" They complain. They fight against reality itself, as if their struggle can change the inevitable. A Stoic does not. We accept fate. This is not resignation. It is not passivity. It is not the surrender of will. It is the understanding that there are things we cannot control, and that in those moments, the best we can do is accept what is and act according to reason. To fight against what cannot be changed is to waste energy. To resist fate is to be defeated before the battle even begins. Marcus Aurelius, in the face of war, betrayal, and personal loss, understood this. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is the core of Stoicism. The obstacle is not the enemy, it is the path. The suffering we endure is not a punishment. It is an opportunity to demonstrate our character, to rise above our circumstances, to prove our virtue. Epictetus, in his teachings, made clear that life is not about control. It is about how we respond to what is given to us. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The Stoic does not break under pressure. The Stoic embraces the challenge. We adapt, we adjust, and we move forward, always guided by reason and virtue. In our acceptance of fate, we are not passive. We are active participants in the world, choosing how to respond to each moment. Fate may push us into difficult circumstances, but we choose how to meet it. We choose whether we will be shaped by adversity or whether we will shape ourselves in the face of it. This is true freedom. The freedom to be unshaken by external events, the freedom to accept what is, to let go of the past and the future, and to live fully in the present. In this acceptance, we find peace. Seneca put it simply, "Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant." Those who fight against fate live in turmoil. Those who accept it move with it, flowing like a river, adapting to the rocks and the bends. Let us not be dragged. Let us not resist what is. Let us accept the challenges before us, for in every challenge there is an opportunity to strengthen ourselves, to refine our virtue, to prove that we are not at the mercy of fate, but that we are the masters of our response. As we stand at the culmination of this journey, let us pause and reflect. The path to mastery, to true inner strength, is not an easy one. It is a path that demands unwavering discipline, a clear understanding of the mind's power, and a commitment to virtues that transcend the fleeting desires of the world. But those who walk this path are not simply men and women. They are forces of a nature, guided by reason, defined by integrity, and unshaken by the trials of life. We have learned that mastery begins with the self. It begins in the mind, in the thoughts we choose to entertain, in the emotions we decide to control. It lies in the acceptance of fate and the refusal to allow external events to determine our internal peace. We have learned that virtue is the only true wealth, that actions speak louder than intentions, and that true freedom comes not from acquiring things, but from detaching ourselves from the things that seek to control us. Now, armed with these principles, it is time to step into the world, not as passive observers, but as active participants, to live, to act, to embrace what comes, and to rise above the rest. Let us live without regret, without fear, and without hesitation. Let us live with honor, with purpose, with fortitude. For we are the Stoics. We are the masters of our own minds, the creators of our own destinies. And when the winds of fate blow, when the storms of life rage against us, we stand tall, unshaken. because we are not afraid of what life may bring. We are ready for it. And in our readiness, we find our freedom.